Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1998 Represent. Today, we're talking about There's Something About Mary. This is the third film by the Farrelly Brothers. I believe their first was Dumb and Dumber. That was 1994, followed by Kingpin a couple years later in 96, and then There's Something About Mary in 1998. I think my favorite movie of theirs is definitely There's Something About Mary, definitely this one, and then probably Dumb and Dumber. They kind of alternate spots. Dumb and Dumber was filmed kind of in my hometown, so it kind of has like a soft spot for me for that. But I think overall, There's Something About Mary is just, I think overall a better film. I think it's a funnier film. Dumb and Dumber is more like slapsticky kind of funny. There is some slapsticky stuff in there, something about Mary, but it's also just the humor is a little bit different. So like, basically both comedies, but they're different kinds of styles for each one. There is a little bit of overlap too. But let me grab my notes here for this movie. So this movie was released July 15th, 1998. I believe I saw it opening weekend because I would have been on some summer vacation from school at the time, so I probably saw it like opening night or like Saturday, like that weekend or something like that. It apparently had a $23 million budget and it grossed worldwide $369 million. That was I believe, the highest grossing comedy of that year, and overall, like globally, it was the fourth highest grossing film of that year globally, which is just crazy because it's a comedy, and usually, like at least more recently, comedies haven't really been a thing as much as they probably used to be. So let's see. It was also the third highest grossing movie domestically. I don't really know what the first one was. Like Godzilla's probably up there, and maybe Armageddon. Maybe I'm not really sure. Saving Private Ryan's probably in there as well. Um, they really don't make comedies like this anymore. Generally, I've just noticed going to the movies like over the last like few years, there's less and less comedies, or they're like the runtime, the release windows are much shorter as well. So they're definitely not making. They're probably just like also. There's probably not a lot of people want to just go spend $15 to see a comedy when you can just probably like watch a comedy on TV or on Netflix or something like that. Especially because they want to see the bigger budget movies are like more going to be demanding more people's time than comedies are. This film stars Cameron Diaz, Matt Dillon, and Ben Stiller. Cameron Diaz was already pretty established at this time. This may have been the first movie or probably the second, considering Wild Things. Yeah, the second movie I seen was probably Matt Dillon. I probably maybe seen him in something else, but just didn't know who he really was at the time. And I don't remember seeing any other movies with Ben Stiller like up to this point. I remember like there was like I think it's called Flirting with Disaster. I remember seeing trailers for that, but never actually seeing that movie. Cameron Diaz was pretty already established at the time. The first film I saw her in was The Mask, so that was 4 years prior to this. And then I think this is kind of where she became like really bankable because like she did this, and then this just grossed a ton of money, and then it's like she was in Charlie's Angels after that, and a bunch of other stuff. I think she's retired now, or she retired a while ago. Like the last movie I saw her in was I think it was a counselor, and I think like a year after that she announced that she was retired. But I think she's coming back to do something on Netflix. I'm not really sure what it was. Um, Matt Dillon is also in this. Again, it's another like I mentioned in our Wild Things video. It's weird because he's playing another kind of like sleazy character. Probably not as bad as Sam Lombardo, but another sleazy character in a movie set in South Florida. Just kind of funny. That's kind of a funny thing. I remember watching the DVD commentary of this and not really getting it until the Farley brothers kind of like spelled it out. That Chris Elliott's character, which is Dom, he is just very unhappy in his marriage, and it's like very kind of throwaway, very quick line where it says Ben Stiller's talking to him, and Dom's line is, "Each day is better than the next." I probably wouldn't have picked up on that until the directors like they actually like spelled it out in the commentary, saying like, "Oh, this guy's really unhappy." This line is like each day, the day after it is worse. The day after that is worse than that. Um, I don't think the concept of this film, unfortunately, would work in like the current like day and age of like the digital world with social media. Because in this movie, the basis of it is takes place in 1985, very briefly in 1985, and then it jumps forward to 1998. So like 13 years later, I think 12 years later, 13. Let me see. I'm not really good at math, but yeah, 13 years. So 13 years later, Ben Stiller's character is going to high school in Rhode Island. And basically gets asked to prom by Mary after kind of sticking up for Mary's brother. And then stuff goes wrong. He can't go to the prom because he gets it stuck in his pants zipper, the beads of Franks, if you know what I mean. And he's a bleeder as well in that situation. So basically, doesn't get to go to prom. Probably doesn't see Mary. Like I don't think ever sees Mary again after that until he's like thinking back to that, and then decides to hire Matt Dillon's character. Matt Dillon's character to track her down. He tracks her down to Florida, comes back, quits his job. It's basically because he's also now fallen in love with this character as well. Lies to Matt or Ben Stiller about like what she's doing and like basically says that she's overweight, has a bunch of kids, and so on to kind of throw Ben Stiller's character off and make him not want to go down there. He says he's gonna go work for Rice Aroni, so like, and then he realizes that like, oh, this guy, he was so busy dealing with the Rice Aroni thing, he didn't even like do the thing I told him to do and go to Florida and track her down. So at that point now, Mary is kind of dating, I believe it's Pat Healy or just Healy as they call him, and Ben Stiller goes down there and then reunites with Mary as well. Dom goes with him, and there's another character named Tucker who is it's Tucker slash Norm, the pizza guy. But all these characters are Ted, who's played by Matt Dillon or Ben Stiller, Healy, who's played by Matt Dillon, Tucker, who's I don't the name of the Tucker's actor escapes me unfortunately, and then Dom, which you don't know about right away, that he's also in love with Mary because he's her former high school boyfriend. Dom, and there's also you also throw Brett Favre in there too. So all these people are basically kind of vying for Mary's attention. I almost said Matt Stiller. Matt Dillon and the guy who plays Tucker eventually like team up to try to get Ben Stiller out of the picture, and basically it's just stuff goes wrong for it goes well for a while, but then it goes wrong for pretty much all of them. In the end, though, she of course does go with picks Ben Stiller's character. Let's see the concept. Got that. Brett Farm. Oh yeah, I also noticed. I think I noticed in this like the second time I saw it on DVD or something like that was that Sarah Silverman is also in this as like a. I think the first thing I saw her in was in an episode of Star Trek Voyager, but she's in this. She's one of Mary's friends. She's kind of just. I think it's not really a cameo, but like just an early film of hers. Sorry, excuse me. I remember picking this up on DVD a couple years after it came out. So I picked it up in 2000, and I remember like we watched it the Friday after Thanksgiving. Me and my whole family watched it. We all thought it was pretty fun. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, the game like the film is just it's still hilarious. There's like the 7 minute abs guy is funny. He's in I believe his name is Harlan Williams. He's also the state trooper in Dumb and Dumber that drinks the beer bottle not knowing it's something else. And one running joke is that that 2 man band always shows up to kind of narrate what's going on in the film. Just the comedy in this is just really good. It's probably like offensive in some ways. I mean, so like go in with if you go in to watch it, go in knowing that it is streaming. Where I streamed it, it's on Paramount Plus currently. I also have it on DVD, so where it might be in my DVD pile over there. I don't know if I pulled that one out of the storage or not. But this is just one of my favorite comedies. Probably my favorite, or close to my favorite Farrelly Brothers movie. Probably between that and Dumb and Dumber. But just a very fun movie. Like I said, I don't think the concept necessarily works now because if this was taking place in today's day and age, Ben Stiller's character would just jump on Facebook, look Mary up, and basically movie over at that point. So there kind of is no movie if you don't have him have to take a road trip down there or send Matt Dillon's character down there either. Um, but if you like comedies, and I would highly recommend There's Something About Mary if you haven't seen it. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Just it's a good time. And like I said, I don't think they really make comedies like this anymore. It's just theatrical, big, not necessarily big budget, because its budget was only $23 million, but just the days of, I think, like comedies just getting just huge theatrical like releases are kind of not really a thing anymore. Even though there are, I saw a trailer for two comedies. One is I forget what it's called. There's a Jennifer Lawrence comedy, and then there's the Will Ferrell, Jamie Foxx Strays comedy, which looks like it could be pretty funny. But I think comedies like they were definitely a bigger thing back then. Like more people would go to them. I think now like movie going is probably just kind of reserved to, like your big budget, like Marvel movies and stuff like that, like stuff like event films like Avatar and those kind of films. So it's kind of unfortunate, but um, I still, if a good comedy comes out, I'm definitely going to check it out. And There's Something About Mary is kind of at the top for me for some of these comedy films. We'll be discussing other films from this year in this series. I don't know what we're going to be covering next week. I think we might be doing a video on another 1998 album, and maybe some video games. We'll be doing some more video game content later in this series as well. But that's going to do it for now. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one.